Hello, my name's Ronnie from Equine Voices. I'm just popping on to say hello and just to answer a question, really. Somebody was asking me a question, and I've done a few distant communications, which means I'm not there in person. And they wanted to know, even though they've had this done themselves, they wanted to know how does it work? How do you get into that? So it's just the same as when you meet somebody or meet a horse, meet an animal. It's just the same. You're connecting to that energy that you're interacting with. So if somebody messages me and they say, can you connect to my horse and see what's going on, or just see if they're happy, or just to ask some questions, offer some guidance. I won't ask for any details, but I'll just ask for the name of the horse and whether they're a gelding or a mare, whatever. Because I like to know what I'm talking to, or who I'm talking to. But sometimes I don't need that. I can sometimes tell by the energy. Now, not always, because a female, a mare, can have a strong masculine energy, so they can come across quite male feeling, but there's normally a variation, so you sort of tell, but yeah. Yeah, so that's why I like to know, to stop confusion, and sometimes either way around. A gelding can have a soft energy, and it depends how they communicate. That some of them can be timid and delicate and soft, but I usually normally know whether they're gelding or it's a male or a female that I'm talking to. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to explain. I just sort of know. I have been known to visit horses, and I've been chatting away, and if I say I'm not that observant, I don't go in and scan up an animal that I'm visiting. Now, you could say, well, anybody could say that, but I don't. I don't go in and look for every little, every knock, every defect that's happened to them, and say, oh, that's what's happening. I don't do that, because I'm listening to my other senses. So even though I'm looking, I'm not really looking intensely that strongly, if that makes sense. So I've been known to go into a horse and keep saying she, or keep saying he, when it's actually the opposite sex. And I'm laughing and I'm saying, I'm really sorry. And then I explain why I'm saying that, and then I have to look. Sometimes I look under, I think, oh, okay, yeah. I have to look underneath. And I explain why, and then that usually makes sense. Or they usually say, yeah, I get that, because their energy is different. They can have a dominant energy, which is quite masculine, as we all do. You can get people with more of a masculine energy, and they need that because that's how they work, they operate. And the opposite way around, it brings a strength into that person, as it does with the animal. So getting back to what I was trying to say. So somebody asked me, how does it work? So it's exactly the same. You just connect through that wavelength, that energy. There are wavelengths traveling across the planet, across the universe, all the time. As you know, through microwaves, phones, mobiles, Wi-Fi, everything. It's there's all these invisible wavelengths, and when you're communicating, it's exactly the same. You're connecting to the wavelength. You're connecting to that person, of that being, the animal. And usually you're linking into the person because they've contacted you, so there's the link is strengthened through that. And then you just go straight into the communication. You ask if there's anything they want to relay. You normally get something straight away. You get a feeling or something. I have an idea whether it's a serious question or whether it's just, I have a sort of idea. I try not to think about it too much before, because you can get messages, and then if you're not intended to connect to the person for a little while, then I try not to think about it. I get a feeling and I sort of acknowledge it, but I try not to home in on it until I'm actually talking to the client. So So that's how it works. And I've had a few clients, and the feedback's been quite good, which I'm pleased at. Because again, it's something that's not um, so when you communicate, so when I'm communicating with an animal and I'm there, you get the signs, as I've mentioned before. You get the licking, the chewing, the releasing, you get the glazed eye, you get the horse going within, you get the yawning, you get them walking off, you get them just staying still, and then they go off and eat, and that's, you know, that's a great sign. Or they're going to have a roll, whatever. You get this, you get similar signs. If I'm doing this over the internet or over the phone, then obviously I'm not there to see that. And sometimes they're not actually with the horses. Um, but then afterwards, I contact them or they contact me, and they'll say, "This has happened, that's happened since we've talked." So it has the same effect. But I love to be in person. I love to do that in person, because I like to see the interaction between the human and the animal. I like to see that, because that also gives information. And again, I don't mean I study the human and the animal to that point that I can figure out what's going on. I'd have to be I'd have to have a really good memory, and I don't have a good memory. I have a terrible memory. I don't store knowledge, but I do remember the gist of the conversation in the form of energy. So when I see an animal or hear about it, or somebody contacts me, you know, a year or so later or whatever, and I go back and see the animal, or 6 months later, depending on what's going on, I'll go see the animal, and as we're connecting, I get a gist of what we discussed, because it's relevant to what's changed or what hasn't changed. Um, yeah, it's fascinating. I love it. It's fascinating, and it still surprises me. It still surprises me, and it's lovely to get feedback. It's lovely to hear from people that have had a communication over the internet, over the phone, and say what's changed, because I'm not there in person. So it's even, you know, it's like, oh crikey. And they're the ones that are doing it. The people and the animals are the ones that are doing this. They're working with their system, and they are making the changes or being seen. They are showing things that need to be seen. So it's always down to them. It's a credit to them. I'm just a facilitator. I'm just a connector. It's like plugging into the universal socket, like plugging in your computer to the internet, and then it starts to flow, and that's what it is. And everybody, I say this all the time, we all have this ability. We all have this ability. How far you take it and what you do with it is up to you. And there will always be variations, because your energy is the one that is manifesting. It's making this happen with the other energy from the animal and the person that you're connecting to. But so you'll have your spin on it, and your own vibration, your own flow. I hope this is making sense. Um, if it doesn't, please ask me a question. You can message me, and I will answer it if I can. So yeah, so we all have this ability. If you can connect to an animal, what's fascinating is when you people that start to connect to the animal, it's like crikey, wow, it's amazing. And I go, yeah, it is. But it opens up a whole new world, and it opens up your communication with not just the animals, but yourself. It opens up to the knowledge that you already have, that wants to flow to you, that wants to come to you, that wants to show you, actually, there's an easier way. There's an easier way. And by that doesn't mean, you skip things to get from A to Z. You still have to go through learning, but there's an easier way as far as asking for the information. Receiving it is pretty easy too. It's acknowledging it and trusting it, that what you're getting is correct. And you have to play around with it, because people can guide you and people can teach you. And I can coach, I can teach, and I've done workshops and I've shown people, but it's them that have to experience it because it's a feel. It's all about a feel. That sounded wrong actually, didn't it? It's all about the feel. It's all about the feel of the energy of what you're sensing. And you have to get used to the subtlest of feel. And sometimes it's even less than that, which sounds really weird, but it's like before a storm, if you're outside and there's birds tweeting and, you know, there's maybe a gentle breeze and all of a sudden it goes really still. It goes so quiet, so quiet. You think something's going to happen. And that's the same with communication. It's beautiful. It's such a beautiful place to be. So for people that do meditations or sit and do yoga or things like that, it's being in that it's like being in that place where you don't always get answers and you don't always get visions and you don't get communications, but you just know that you're in the right place. And that is often with the communications. You just know. You just know. But it does take practice. But it's there to tap into, and anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. Oh, I forgot to say this is not a live video because we have to say that. So this is a recording. This is not a live video. I should have said that at the beginning. So I thought I'd just share that. But if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask me and I will answer if I can. It's about sharing with each other and encouraging each other. It's not about saying this is my gift and, you know, this is what I own this. I do this and I'm responsible for what I bring to this. But it's there for everybody. And like I said, you can show somebody and you can teach them and they might go out and do the same thing, but it will not be the same because it's coming from them, from their place. And they have to get the feel. You have to know what that is and recognize it because it's that. It's the non-verbal, the non-seen. It's not all about the all singing, all dancing things that you see, visually see. And some people and animals don't want you to see that. They just want to digest what's happened, process it in their own time, and not always in front of people. Bearing that in mind, they don't always want you around because what you're doing is you're looking. If it's new, you're thinking, oh, I mean, obviously you want to see something because that's your, okay, I get it now. But just allow them that moment. Allow them to have that moment and just turn away, turn your gaze away and just, you know, just let your energy, just let it be because that's really important. That is really, really important. Just like people, we don't always want to be seen going through stuff and letting go. We want to digest it and see what it means to us and know that we've let something go and we feel better. We you know, we need to acknowledge that ourselves. And animals are just the same. They will behave how they need to behave. There is no guidebook for that. You just need to let that happen. And that is part of the learning. That is part of the understanding when you're communicating. It's a funny word, communicating. We think talk. That's human version of communicating. Communicating could be silence. And in that silence, magical things can happen. Magical things. But it's beautiful. And if you experience it only once, I promise you'll want to experience it again. And it takes you down a road that's, you can't go back. Once you open up to that, you can't go back. You go forward. And it's not all plain sailing. And you have to have the courage to deliver, as we all do. But it's not impossible. It's obtainable. And even if you don't want to do this as I'm doing this, for your own personal well-being and your animal's well-being, it can have an enormous effect on your psyche and how you deal with day-to-day stuff. Absolutely. But that's a whole new story. I could do a session about that actually, because I'm an animal communicator, but it has impacted on my world. This isn't just something I do. This is my life. This is my world, and it's guiding me. It's guiding my guidance to do what I need to do in my life and to connect with people and to connect people to people. It's about sharing. It's about sharing with each other to help in whatever way the animal or the person, but to enlighten them. And again, it's not me saying, listen to me. And what I'm saying is listen to yourself, listen to your intuition, listen to your own guidance, because it won't fail you. I'm just listening to the neighbours having a good time. Anyway, off my soapbox now. I thought I'd just share that. So once again, this is a recording, not a live version. I was going to go live, but I've got to rush out. I don't know why that makes any difference, but so have a lovely, lovely Saturday. And please, if you want to ask me a question, ask me a question. Ask me a question. I keep saying I'm going to do a live Q&A, and I've just got to grab the bull by the horns and get on and do it. But even me sometimes, confidence, I think I've got to do this. But we're all human, aren't we? But that's the beauty of it. We live and learn. So have a lovely day. Take care, and I'll chat with you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for listening. Bye.